I recently flew from Aberdeen to Amsterdam and then Amsterdam on to Venice. This is my review of both flights. First stop was a visit to the Northern Lights Lounge in Aberdeen. There are two lounges at Aberdeen Airport. There's the British Airways Lounge and the multi-airline Northern Lights Lounge. We were actually flying economy, however, with my flying blue gold status and the fact we were flying with KLM allowed me access and also to sign in a guest. This was a morning flight, so as you can see there was a cooked breakfast option, there was continental breakfast options. I've used this lounge several times and my experience is it's never too busy. There's always a good selection of food and drink available. As well as a range of fruit juices and soft drinks, there's also a wide range of alcoholic drinks. These are not self-service and you have to request these via a member of the lounge team. Every time I've used this lounge, I've always found the lounge team very friendly, very helpful, very good at topping up the food options. As with most airline lounges, if you are lucky enough to grab a seat beside the window, you do get a nice view of the runway. And soon it was time to head to the gate. Our flight today was on a Embraer E190. As you can see, it was actually German Airways, although this flight was booked via KLM. This is the second time this has happened to me on a KLM flight. It's been German Airways. Although this is the KLM configuration, it's the same as the German Airways. It's a 2-2 configuration. We were sat in row 17. The flight wasn't that full, so we pushed back on time. Aberdeen, just in case you don't know, is also a very busy heliport servicing the oil and gas industry. Aberdeen isn't a big airport, and thankfully it's often a very short taxiway to the runway. On board, the seat pitch is 31 inches in economy, which is fairly standard for most European carriers. I did feel the table, once pulled down, was a bit too large for the space available. So ideal if you're using a laptop, but it's very close to your body. Above your seat you had individual reading lights and adjustable ventilation. Once we were up on the cruise, we were offered complimentary food and drink. There was a range of alcoholic drinks and soft drinks. As you could see, everything was, although it was a German Airways flight, everything was still badged KLM. And the food and offer was a cheese sandwich. Following this, they also did come round offering teas and coffees. And after a short flight of roughly 1 hour 15 minutes, we arrived into Amsterdam. And then it was onto the bus for a short trip, roughly about 10 minutes back to the terminal building. If you haven't been to Amsterdam airport before or transited through Amsterdam, it's a major hub, it's a busy airport. And if you do have to go through the border control, it can take up to an hour. Sometimes you get lucky, but on this occasion I was travelling for pleasure, but I frequently travel through this airport for work, and quite often it's 45 minutes to an hour to get through the border control. The other thing to note is if you do have Sky Priority, and that doesn't apply at border control, there's no fast tracks at the lane, it's everyone is in the same lane. And then it was time to visit the KLM Crowne 25 lounge. This lounge, there are two lounges in Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. There's the 25, which is for Schengen flights, and the 52, which is non-Schengen. Schengen is pretty much the whole of the EU. Both lounges can get very busy. This is a much smaller lounge because obviously it's covering the sort of Schengen area as opposed to the sort of intercontinental areas that the other lounge covers, the non-Schengen area. A good range of hot and cold food available, as well as soft drinks, free pour spirits. But like many of the airline lounges nowadays, the biggest challenge you have is finding a seat, especially if you're in a group of sort of 4 or 5 people. Both lounges have the usual options such as showers and also the wide range of different seating options, quiet areas, etc. And then it was time to head down to our gate. Our aircraft for our flight from Amsterdam to Venice was the 737-800. Due to my Flying Blue Gold status, I can book for free premium comfort seats. However, I then also added my wife. The cost was £15 for her to also get premium comfort seat. There were only a couple of rows of business on this actual flight, so we were in rows 3 for this flight. Previously, the most common device used in airplanes was your laptop. However, as you can see, a lot of the airlines now, a lot of the aircraft are keeping up to date and are fitting the holder for your mobile phone. As I mentioned, these were premium comfort seats. I would highly recommend these. I think they are good value for money, and the difference in legroom, it does make a big difference, even though it's a relatively short flight. Each seat back had the USB for charging your devices, as well as overhead reading lights and ventilation. The seats also had an adjustable headrest. We did get lucky, there was nobody sitting beside us in the row of 3, so with the middle seat empty, it was effectively like travelling in business without the business food. And then it was time to leave our rather wet Amsterdam, and whenever you're going on holiday, you're always hoping the weather at your destination is a bit better. What we didn't actually know at this time was, yes, day 1 was going to be much better, but 3 of the 5 days were going to be pretty much like it is out the window now. Once again, on this flight, the crew were very friendly, they looked after us well. The food and drink was very similar. As you can see, the food option was a sandwich. We did have some gorgeous views of the mountains and lakes as we travelled down to Venice. I do hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you have, please consider hitting a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. I will be adding more videos, certainly on Venice and things like how to get from the airport in Venice to Venice itself, so by subscribing, make sure you don't miss out on those. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.